In my opinion, the New York Jets are the most interesting team in all of football. They were a solid team last year, but they needed a quarterback. And this year, they added a superstar quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. It's a massive deal. He's 1 year removed from winning back-to-back MVP awards. So they got their great quarterback, and they've got a really good receiving core. They've got Garrett Wilson at receiver, who was the Offensive Rookie of the Year last year. They brought in Alan Lazard and Randall Cobb from Green Bay. They added Mecole Hardman from Kansas City. They've got a guy, Corey Davis, who I think I'm really curious about, man. Corey Davis is a former first-round pick, a guy who hasn't done a lot in his career, but he's got potential. And him being older, he's 28 years old, that actually is good for Aaron Rodgers. He prefers to work with veteran receivers rather than young guys he's trying to teach a lot to. However, they do have a really good young receiver that could make an impact. They've got this guy, Jason Brownlee, an undrafted free agent, played at Southern Mississippi, who has been a really big standout in camp, making big catch after big catch. And I really like the receiving core they've got Aaron Rodgers throwing to. They've got a solid tight end group. They've got Jack Conklin and CJ Uzama. And I'm excited for this football team, man. They've got great players everywhere. I have high expectations. They've got a good offensive line, a good defense, good players on defense. They've got Carl Lawson, John Franklin Myers, Quinnen Williams on the defensive line, CJ Mosley at linebacker, maybe the best corner in the NFL with Sauce Gardner. The opposite corner is DJ Reed. At safety, they've got Adrian Amos and Jordan Whitehead. And the defense in the last couple of years in New York has been really taking care of business. But now, finally, they're going to get proper support from their offense. They've got a great quarterback. That's going to make a huge difference. By the way, I love the Jets' defensive coordinator, Jeff Ulbrich. He played college football at Hawaii. Hallelujah, I love that. Robert Saleh is also a defensive head coach. I think the defense is going to be taken care of. It's the offense you have questions about. And over the years, they've been building a really good roster by drafting really well and making good moves here and there. So in my opinion, adding Aaron Rodgers really is going to put them over the top. And, this offseason, by the way, they added 16 new players through free agency. They brought in a ton of depth on the offensive line. They've got a new starting center, Connor McGovern. That's worth mentioning. So the Jets went from a good roster without a quarterback to a great roster, in my opinion, with a really good quarterback. At the very minimum, Aaron Rodgers is at least going to be a top 10 quarterback. I think he's going to be better than that. He might be 39 years old, but he's not slowing down. He doesn't look way worse. And this Jets team is going to be a totally different team than you've seen in years past. They've got a good defense. They've got a great quarterback. We got two good running backs, a 1-2 punch at running back, Breece Hall and Michael Carter. Breece Hall is coming back from a torn ACL. It's going to be a little while, I think, till he plays and is at full speed, but keep an eye on that. I talked about depth on the offensive line. They drafted a center, Joe Tippmann, out of Wisconsin. I really like him. So I have the Jets going 11-6 this year. I think that would mean they just barely missed the playoffs, partially because the way I have things set up, I have the AFC North just dominating and looking like a great, fantastic division this year, with two teams going, 12-5, one team going 13-4. It's borderline, though. I mean, the Jets are right there. They could very easily become a playoff team. I'm not saying my predictions have everything right. But even if they miss the playoffs, I think regardless, this year is a year where they're setting up for the second year with Aaron Rodgers being able to make a really deep Super Bowl run in 2024. I mean, this team is capable of winning a Super Bowl this year. Here's a concern, though. The Jets do not have time for a slow start or growing pains early on. They have to come out of the gate swinging, because the first 6 games of the year for New York are Buffalo, Dallas, New England, Kansas City, Denver, and then Philly. That could all be a bunch of playoff teams right there. Those are really good football teams that are going to play in the first 6 weeks of the year. So that's a rough start. They got to come out swinging, and they do not have time to be learning early on. And if they do struggle early, I mean, maybe they could recover. And if they make the playoff game, I think from week 1 to week 18, the Jets are going to be a very different football team. So I think they're going to improve a lot throughout the year. But in my opinion, honestly, this year is about growing towards next year. I hope that's wrong. I love Aaron. I love what they're doing. It's a tough ask to expect them to, off the gate, compete with Buffalo, Dallas, New England, Kansas City, Denver, then Philly just right away. Now, New England, Denver, those are probably not the same quality teams as Buffalo, Dallas, KC, and Philly, but still, man, those are 6 really hard games. They could start, 3-3, 2-4 at worst. That's on the optimistic side. So they're going to have a tough start, I believe, although I hope I'm wrong, man. I'd love to see week 1, the Jets go out and just dominate Buffalo and shut up. Their fan base is so loud and annoying. It'd be really fun to watch the Jets just dominate Buffalo week 1 and be like, how's that going? Your domination over the AFC. So that would be funny to me. But I worry that's wishful thinking rather than rational thought process. I think Buffalo probably wins week 1. Dallas, it's a tough game. KC, in 4 games, are the Jets going to be ready to compete with Kansas City, Buffalo, Dallas? That's a really tough ask. And I know that Tom Brady won a Super Bowl in year 1 with Tampa. It's not impossible for Aaron Rodgers to win a Super Bowl this year with the Jets, but he's talked a lot about playing for years. I think he understands it's a year of growth towards next year, honestly. And Tom Brady with Tampa was in a bad division with bad football teams around him. Aaron doesn't have that. He's got the Patriots, Bill Belichick. The Dolphins are really good. The Bills are some of the class and best teams of the AFC. I guess what I'm saying is they're the class of the AFC. The top 3 teams in the AFC have recently been Buffalo, KC, and Cincinnati. So to expect the Jets immediately to compete with Buffalo and take them down, that's a tough ask. And, the Jets have a new quarterback, a new offensive system, a lot of new players. It's just going to take time, I believe, for them to get going. That's why I have them going 11-6 this year. It's no disrespect. And if the Jets don't make a playoff game this year and they're good but not quite where they need to be, understand their schedule's loaded. They're in a tough division. They've got a lot of changes happening. Don't panic if you're a Jets fan. It's not the end of the world. They're going to fail. No. It's because they're building towards something in 2024 that could be a Super Bowl victory. So I don't know. Although, again, I do maintain the fact if somehow the Jets can sneak into a playoff appearance, I think they'll be a way better team by the end of the year than they are early in the year. So they could go on a crazy, magical Super Bowl run if they can make it in. But again, their first 6 games are really tough. It's a tough ask for them to just immediately out the gate be competing with the best teams in the NFL. And I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to see that. But I have the Jets going 11-6 this year, and we'll see what happens.